After the damp squib that was the Modest Mouse album, I listened to another album from a 90s artist, this time out of a band. So it was Bjork, and her new album, Vulnicura. I don't know how to pronounce it, it's pretty weird. Bjork, a little bit of backstory, it was a massive 90s star. She did 3 of the most acclaimed albums of the 90s, Debut, Post and Homogenic. Homogenic is considered to be one of the best albums of all time. It's like a massively important electronic album that got nothing but rave reviews. Unlike Modest Mouse though, she did fade from public light, but because of becoming too weird, rather than by crossing over and becoming like a... She had never lost critical standing, but she's got a lot of lost a lot of mainstream appeal. Her last album was revealed as an app. It was released as an app. And the album before that was a soundtrack to a museum exhibit about Bjork. She basically does really weird stuff. She's gone completely just over the head of most people. She's in a world of her own. Yeah. She also does she was the lead role in a Lars von Trier film. Oh. Called Dancer in the Dark. Oh yes, yes. The really depressing Lars von Trier film. He's a popular director. Yes, he is. Yeah. But yeah, so Bjork has returned with a new album, an acclaimed new album. This one, I think, has a lot more mainstream appeal than anything she's done pretty much since Homogenic, because it's a sort of breakup album. Okay. But not in the style, I don't know, Boyzone. More blood on the tracks. Oh, yeah, okay. Yes, it's inspired by her breakup with someone she's been with, I think, for 13 years. So it's a lot more emotionally direct than anything she's done for, as I said, since Homogenic, which is sort of seen as the last sort of great masterpiece that she did. The other ones have got a lot of acclaim, a lot of fans, but there's no real consensus on them because they're so out there. So the album, the sound of it is all done on it's computerized beats with string sections and violins over the top. So it doesn't sound like anything else really, because it's got a mixture of these incredibly old sounds like string sections, violins, which obviously have been in rock and pop for... Well, we were talking about David Bowie using them on the figure. Yeah. It's about that and crossed with incredibly hard, cold beats, all created on a computer. So it has the weirdest sound imaginable, where all of a sudden it'll be like a violin solo interrupted by boom, boom, boom. It's really weird. You need to listen to it to make it. It's a great album. But it just sounds so weird. One of the songs literally just open with and then boom, boom, just comes in from one headphones. Oh, it's amazing. The album it's weird. It's a weird one to describe, because it sounds again like a lot of her 90s work. It's very much a return to the classic sound. She's not gone as weird with this, and as I said, the lyrics are so emotionally direct, to the point where it's all about a breakup. And I had the deluxe edition. It came with a booklet, and each song has a time period on it. Oh yeah. So one of them says the breakup point, which is one of the best songs on the album, A History of Touches. And then the other songs, the ones preceding it say 5 months before, 9 months before, and the ones after say a month after. So it's all about the history of this breakup that she's had. And do you know anything about... Have you ever heard a Bjork song? No. The one you need to listen to is called Possibly Maybe. Okay. It was a 90s single and it was quite a big hit, and it's absolutely amazing. It's one of the best singles of the 90s. You really need to listen to those 3 albums. They're massive epoches. Is that the word? How you pronounce the word? Yeah. Yeah. So she did all that incredible work, and this is very much a return to that. It's probably her best album apart from Homogenic. Oh, and Post. Those are the 2 you need. Post and Homogenic. Classics. Incredibly sad, as you can imagine from a breakup album. I would say this actually, the closest sad thing I can hear, even though it's completely different musically, is Blood on the Tracks. Oh yeah. Because this album and all, she's known for sort of really weird lyrics. Lyrics that just go completely very verbose. She's originally Icelandic. Oh yeah, I heard that one. Yeah. The first line of that possibly maybe a hit song is even though I prefer the loneliness of solitude. It's really long lyrics and stuff. So this one is really weird because there'll be really long lyrics, and then it'll just undercut it completely with like a really direct emotional statement. That's the kind of lyrics that are going on. It's really, really weird sound. So she'll be developing like this sort of convoluted thing, and then it'll just completely undercut it. Okay. With something that's just so like massively, completely direct. I would recommend you need to get this album. You need to get this album as well. Okay. So much better than the Modest Mouse album. It's unbelievable. It's a really good time to be a music fan, actually. There's the new Kendrick Lamar album, which is meant to be a classic.
List about it,
yeah, there's not that new Modest Mouse album.
There's a new Kanye album coming out this year.
Exactly, a new Kanye album. There's loads
Frank Ocean's new albums coming out this year.
Yeah, there's loads of great albums coming out this year. This also reminded me a lot of one of my favourite albums that's incredibly underrated. The sort of structure of this album is a lot of the songs are really long. The longest song is about 10 minutes, and they all sort of... There's only one song that's under 5, which is A History of Touches, which is sort of the bit where it's like the breakup in the narrative of the song. And it reminds me a lot of an album called The Terror by The Flaming Lips.
Oh yeah.
You might remember this as it's a CD that comes with a second CD.
Oh yeah, with a little mini CD, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That album is another album by like a big 90s band who became increasingly insular, and it was sort of a really depressing headphone album. This is similar to that in the way it's structured and sort of the sound. It's going more darker, more introverted, and it's structured like that, where it's got a centerpiece. So this has got middle one is a 10-minute song. I can't remember what it's called. It's called like White Lake or something, Black Lake. This beautiful 10-minute song, which is like, it's really great. Every 3 minutes it sort of stops then starts again, and that's another one where it's beats with like a violin going through the background. Really great song. But yeah, it's just good now to hear an album nowadays which is actually structured.
Oh my god.
I know, so it builds and builds to the centerpiece, and it kind of has a down and then builds up again. God. Yes. Can you imagine that?
No, I cannot.
I know. It's just a really, really great album, and because I sort of I knew Bjork was and heard the 3 albums, but never really took it any further. Yeah. This was it's quite funny actually. This was an impulse buy when I was buying the Modest Mouse album.
Oh really?
Yeah, so I ended up getting this on like impulse because it was at the counter, and I thought, oh, I haven't heard anything from Bjork for years.
I'll give it a go.
And it's absolutely amazing. I've listened to it about 3 times in the last like 5 days.
Oh, fair.
It's a great album.
Cool.
If you like Blood on the Tracks, this is similar lyrically, even though just as far away musically as you could get.
Yeah.
It's probably a better album because it doesn't include Lily.
I was going to ask, is there an equivalent to that song?
No, the equivalent to that song, like the song that's like the same place in that album, is amazing. It's called Atom Dance on this. I think it's about the first time that because it's a character piece. Yeah. Bjork is a bit like Bowie, that she adopts different characters. Oh yeah. And it's like, I think the first time like that like the person is fucked after like a relationship. Because it's like about an atom dance, which is quite clearly a metaphor for sex. But that's an absolutely amazing, like that's how you do an 8-minute long song, rather than Lily Jack and the whatever it's called.
Rosemary with Jack of Hearts.
Yes, that's how you do it, like an 8-minute track. There's brilliant use of tension throughout. There's a lot of start and stopping on the album. It's just incredible. If you like experimental music, it's pretty experimental, but still retaining enough of a pop core to like, it's listenable. Yeah. If you like breakup albums, this is probably the best one since Blood on the Tracks. It's a lost art form, isn't it?
I think it is, yeah.
People used to write, like, there were loads of them in the 70s.
Yeah.
And like now all you get is crap. I think it's because of stuff like Boyzone or something.
Boy bands
doing it, yeah. So a bad reputation, but it can be like really resonant, like this one is. Yes, so if you like experimental music, if you like breakup albums, if you just want to hear Bjork do the same kind of thing she's most acclaimed for, but still, it's different though from Homogenic. I don't want it to sound like it's just a retread of that. It's much like that one was famous for combining sort of electronic music with sort of a pop sensibility that she had, but going a lot further. It was quite funny because the album was like, is well known for. It came out in 1997 and got like rave reviews, and everyone thought it was going to be best of the year. And then OK Computer got released, and pretty much everyone listed it as second. pretty much all the 90s like magazines rated like either OK Computer or Homogenic as #1, and the other one as #2.
Okay.
It was pretty easy to spot. They were like two of the like most acclaimed albums of like the decade came out within like the same year.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to go back to that kind of sound, but in a different, more personal, slightly more challenging way, I would get. I can't even remember the name of the album is really hard to remember. It's like Vulnicura.
Okay.
I would recommend getting Vulnicura. It's a perfect. There's not a single bad song on it. It is much better to listen to it all at once because it is. It's basically one really like 54-minute song.
Mm.
It's all because the songs build upon each other, as I say, and they follow the narrative of like a breakup. So happy, breaking up, down period, and then sort of rebuilding. I'm tempted to just give this a 10.
Oh yeah.
It's a great album.
Mm.
She doesn't do as much. She's well known for having an incredibly high pitched voice.
Oh, I've heard of it. Yeah.
Like it's like dog sort of volume. It's crazy, and like, but there's not a lot of that on the album. It's mainly of like quieter vocals. It's actually audible.
Mm.
So there's not as much of that sort of extreme measure. I would just recommend anyone who's sort of interested in modern music just to buy the album. It's a really good album. It's probably going to be one of the best of the year.
Fair.
I imagine that maybe the Kanye one could be as good because he usually comes out with something too. But yeah, this is a 10 out of 10. It's a great album.